Okay, so this is my CCBunz unofficial measuring video. Hello, if you're a customer. I'm going to go into a little bit details of what to expect, what not to. Feel free if anyone's just browsing this, because going down YouTube rabbit holes is a real thing. And feel free to use this as just a resource to how to measure. Some people don't really know how to measure themselves properly, and I want to make sure this way I have this kind of as like, if you've measured improperly, it's kind of saving my ass, gonna be perfectly honest. But anyway, also because I just want to teach people how to properly measure themselves, especially if they get into cosplay and stuff like that, and they work with other commissioners. I want them to not have those problems, so they can just kind of learn. Basically, I'm gonna have 21 basic measurements. They're the measurements that I'm using personally for my business. They're basic measurements with, you know, your neck, your back, basically your lanky parts. You generally want to have clothes as tight as possible, or whatever you're going to wear. Some people I know like to wear it just as a lounge. Some people like to wear clothes under it. So again, take that into consideration. If you do want clothes under it, please make sure it's known that you want clothes under it. I assume everyone's just gonna basically just free ball my KQs. Well, bras, panties, whatever. You're going to need a friend to do this, or someone you trust, parent, I don't know, sibling, whatever. Basically, you don't want it as tight as possible. If you do, again, want things looser, measure them and then add an inch if you really feel unsafe or you don't want it too tight. Generally, I will personally not make it exactly tight. I usually give about 2 inches of a room. A lot of the times I will talk in the video about certain muscles like your arms and your legs, of a flex test. So basically when you flex, I don't really have much, I'm sorry, but it will sometimes, depending on someone's, you know, if they have a lot of muscles or not. Obviously I don't make a difference, and the person I'm measuring doesn't make a difference, but some people do. They are very sturdy, but I don't want someone being uncomfortable in them. On top of that, also, when you're measuring things, I will demonstrate a lot closer. You don't want it too tight. You want it as tight as possible, but like a loose fitting tight, not like I'm going to cut my circulation off. So basically, you want it to overlay, and then you kind of want to show where it is. Now, again, it's a little bit, like for this, it's a little off because I'm doing it myself. It starts at 2 and then goes at 3. So basically my wrists are 6 inches. Again, if you guys want, feel free to add it. If it is a little bit past the number and you're a little unsure, just add the ½ inch. Or if you're really unsure and it's a little past that, the ½ inch, you can just add that extra inch to go to the rounded number. That's not a problem. Again, I give a little bit of leeway. But if you do work with another commissioner, just like too long didn't read, get someone you trust to do this, wear as minimal clothing as possible, and if you're uncomfortable with it, when in doubt, kind of add a ½ inch if you're really unsure. Alright, so let's get started. I apologize in advance for the horrible fucking quality. I do not have my normal setup, which if you guys don't know, I do stream on Twitch. So anyway, let me get started. So thank you guys for coming here, and feel free to use the video however you want. Alright. The shoulder line, so like where you're seeing the feet, and then all the way down to the heel. Alright, and the second one is going to be bust. So normally females and males are different, but generally your bust is going to be where your nipples are, and then underneath is going to be your chest. So for females, it's going to be a little bit different. Generally, you don't want to be too tight. You don't want to be too tight for females. But generally, males, you can just do tight because your chest is going to be very different. And then underneath, you go right under the boobies here. So funny enough, actually, it's right on this line. So try to make it as straight as possible. It's going to be hard. This is why you have someone else do it instead of you. So yeah. Generally, for males, your breast size is going to be a little bit bigger sometimes than the actual chest size. So, and then your waist is usually where your kind of rib cages end. So it's usually your tiniest part of your body. So generally going to see a much, even for males, you're going to see a little bit of a divot. Some males have more of a Dorito shape, some are a little bit square. And then the hips are where the hip bones are, so where you have the little pony parts poking out, you can do that. Generally your hips are around where you have a little bit of a butt, turn it sideways. So you're going to usually do it about like where the butt is, not exactly at the height of the butt, like that. You're not going to go up here. You're going to go a little bit under. So some people have bigger butts. You know. Okay, so about there. If you have a bigger butt, generally it's good to also measure. So generally if you want to, you can go just a little bit lower and get the booty. That way you have an extra measurement. Okay. And then next, get off of this, you fuck. Alright, hips to ankle. Generally hips to ankle is, again, is the pointy part.
and you just go exactly straight down, and then all the way down the ankle. Sadly enough, my camera does not show that far. Okay. Alright, so basically just again to the ball point of your ankle. And then hip to shoulder, so basically making sure all the measurements are correct. You're going to generally do shoulder inseam all the way to, again, your hip. So that way you kind of have the shortest amount of distance. And to have knee to your hip. So that way we can get a measurement of the difference between your knees to your ankles. And then the next one's going to have the difference between your chest to your shoulder. So hip to knee. Hip to knee is going to be about where the mid part of your knee is to where the pointy part is. You put down that. Then hip to chest is basically, so the chest is going to be where your nips are. So you're going to basically try to make it as straight as possible. Generally you want to have it at the nipples and then just go straight down. So that way people know if you have like a belly or something. And then that way people can tell the difference between from your nipple to your shoulder seam. Shoulder seam. So basically shoulder seam is going to be where, never mind, I need this part. Is going to be where your neck kind of starts and where the shoulder starts, like where it comes up to here. So from here to here, basically. So where your neck would start to go into your shoulder, and then where basically your armpit is up. Armhole is basically also just around that one part. Basically just want to get your armpit up. And then down. So basically you want to get it so where if your arms are closed, it goes around. So generally, it doesn't really matter where you start or stop, just make sure it is in the circle. Arm length is going to be, I think, where your armpit is, go up. You're going to go to about where that is, and then you're going to go all the way down to the wrist. So the bony part of your wrist. Bicep, you normally want to do the biggest part of your bicep, so generally it's going to take a little bit of time. You kind of want to go a little bit higher, but you can put it down or up. Generally you want to kind of see where it goes, so like this. You don't want to flex, by the way. You do want to flex to see if there's much of a difference. If there is like a significant difference, tell the seamstress that, or tell me that. Armhole, bicep. So forearm is going to be, again, this part of the forearm. This is around the wrist area. Forearm is where it starts to bow out. So this part really doesn't matter too much if you flex. If you are a muscly guy, girl thing, generally you also want to do the flex text. So this is basically just want to get the biggest part. And then wrist is easy. You're going to do on the bony part. So, go around there. Perfect. So guys, step out a little bit. You're going to want to step out just a little bit. But basically you're going to get the biggest part. So basically you're going to get a good gauge of where the biggest thigh is. Make sure I get it straight. But yeah. And again, if you think it's going to be that much of a difference, make sure to flex, see if there's much of a difference in size. And next is going to be your calf. So your calf, again, if you turn sideways, you understand any type of anatomy. It goes smaller in the knees. It gets bigger in the calf, and then it goes back down ankles. So generally, you're going to do the same thing with the calves. If you need to, just do the muscle test and see if there's anything different. All right, and then ankles are just pretty self-explanatory. Basically, where the bony parts are, super sticky out bony parts. All right, and then so something that is sometimes helpful as well as different. If you are a male and you want things a little bit looser, generally you want to figure out where the crotch is. So you want to figure out where it's about comfortable, of where you want tightness or not. I fucking hate it. So say like if you want it a little bit looser, then here, you go here, and you basically just go straight down, all the way to the floor. And the same thing with the inside is, again, you're going to want to take the inseam of the crotch where you want it. You're going to try to have it go all the way up into your clavicle. Basically, where these parts are. And then your shoulder span, which is the back, this is basically where your armpits are. So go from here to here. And then you measure. Basically, you're going to do the neck. And then go from there. If you need to, sometimes you can do head side and stuff like that, but it's not really important. So, alright, okay. Yay! If there are any questions, let me know. Good back.